Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Nazati, and our friends who joined us in time. MashaAllah.
Alaikum, alaikum salam. Let's see. Okay, I think it's 4 exactly. We can start. Let's start. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala ali kulli wa sahbi kulli ajma'in. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Says no sound. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I
Oh,
can.
okay. Okay. I think there is one person saying there's no sound, and my guess that she'll be from her side. Okay. So let's me briefly summarize what we discussed and before we start our session today. As you know, we are on journey of understanding Quran. And as we delve into the Quran, we find the depth of wisdom and knowledge in Quran. And obviously, we find out that our problem is basically the problem of not knowing and not understanding the Quran in a real sense. And therefore, we even named the program Understanding the Quran Today. And so we think that the problem when we read and understand the Quran describe a problem and offer very, very effective and efficient solutions to our problems. So in this regard, that we can say the problem is the connection problem. We lost connection with Creator. We lost connection because we don't read and understand the revelation. That is the main key source to connect to the Creator. And then when we understand the revelation takes us to the creation through which then now we can understand and connect to the Creator. Now, what we have been covering in last 2, 3 days, that sign of creators are everywhere. He does everything possible to connect to us, either through, revelation or creation. But somehow, that we are, in a way, we are blinded to those signs, or we become deaf and not hearing this voice. So essentially, as we reflect on the Quran, we see the Quran is inviting us to open our eyes to see the signs of the Creator in the universe and to hear the voice of the Creator through the revelation and through a silent voice of speech through the creation. Yesterday, particularly, we reflect on deliberate, deliberate in a way, a kind of deliberately running away from the message and not looking at the sign. That was the things we mentioned. And the reason that is because those signs that are around us speaks of God, connect us to Him, are attributed to nonsense human constructs, such as laws, such as nature, such as certain physical properties and forces. Because of that, and since we all go through such educational system and in a way brainwashed, not to really see the sign or see the meaning of the sign, and we all in a way get puzzled and lost the connection and try to handle our life ourselves. But we all want to really talk to the Creator, connect to Him. And today we're going to delve even more to see how we can even hear His speech and have Him to speak to us, and in a way through the Quran as we reflect on it. That's how I think I can summarize, Dr. Ali. I saw the picture you put it there. Do you want to say anything on that kind of science experiment pictures? I guess you put it there to summarize what we have been discussing.
No. Yeah, we have been, thank you for a beautiful summary, very precise, and also introducing to today's discussion. We have been going through the definition of the Quran, how we should define the Quran from which aspects. Not only one definition, many aspects of the Quran can be defined from different ways. So what I understood from what you said, Dr. Nejati, uh, we are confusing two things to me. To me, just my humble opinion. While we are speaking in our practical life, you and I speak like this, I did this, I made this. This happens in this way always. This is how it is. If you did it in this way, the result will be that. That's our daily language. From there, we develop a habit, and transfer this habit into our observation of the universe and existence. We think, okay, when the weather is hot, the water evaporates and the steam goes up. And there is a beautiful Quran describes that we do all this anyway. Steel goes up, and it is spread there, but at the end they accumulate in the form of clouds. And then when the clouds goes up, because it is light, it touches the cold temperature, and then condensation happens and comes there. And we say, that's it. That is how it works. That is the law of, let's say, rain or snow. But in fact, as you said, human construction. That is how I see. If someone is doing something, that is how I see. It doesn't mean that this man is doing without consciousness, and the matter itself is functioning without a conscious interference or act of the one who makes it. So we have to be very careful with our language. Daily language is fine, and the Quran says, "I don't blame you with your swearings." Swearing by God is a habit, not meaning it. That is a beautiful verse. It gives me relaxation, really. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to speak in my daily life. I have to say, God created it. No, I didn't do it. But I do something. No, it is God created it. I wanted, but God created it. Life will be very uh, hard to live. So inshallah, we will be careful when it comes to understanding our existence, understanding our reality, the reality of what is going on in the universe, in the creation, all the things around us. We have to watch out not to transfer the daily language into what we observe. My simple example is, ah, tree is producing cherries. No, this tree is beautiful. It produces cherry. That's what daily life, daily language. But when it comes to analyzing what is going on in the world, how the cherry tree grows and fruit comes, I cannot say that the wood and water and air combined together, mineral, whatever the elements, and these elements are the source of existence of the cherry. The tree is growing the cherry fruit. So the universe is in an order, created in a perfect, smoothly, perfectly working in order, miraculously arranged. That's why we get used to it saying that it always happens like this. There is a law of something, law of something, law of something. That is the misleading language of the interpretations that some people, secularistly minded and conditioned mind people, use it. And because we are not if we are not careful, we say, yeah, that's it. The tree grows always in spring, cherry. That's how it is. They call it reality of scientific understanding. No, this is the reality of creation, how the things are created, correct. But naming it with the law and describing it, that is how it is, so it must be by itself. That interpretation must be separated from the reality because this interpretation denies the conscious action behind everything, every event. Okay.
Yeah, Dr. Ali, I think this is very important point. Just a very kind of quick example of that, because this is one of very, I will say, big issues that we face in daily lives. To me, it resembles to this. It's like you are grown in a house and you see the house is clean, you see the food is prepared, you have a breakfast, lunch, a dinner, your clothes is washed. So, but the key part in this example, you never see who did it. Somehow you're like, let's say, enjoying your time, and then you see all this is done. And then you go to school and they tell you never thinks it's your mom or dad or someone is doing this, just happened by itself.
Yeah.
That is the law of breakfast doing that. That's the law of cleaning the house. That is the law of furniture, getting the furniture to the house. I mean, this is a complete nonsense. I don't know how come that we as a human with intelligence can swallow this nonsense story as if all these things that we see around us that happening for our benefit with the wisdom and purpose, as if it's just happened by itself, as if there is no one is doing that. So I think what in a way secular ideology is doing is really covering up this hidden hand behind everything and make us to think as if it just happened by itself. And I think that was when you were mentioning, I was trying to really reflect on this example.
Try to understand this matter clearly and share it with my friends. I used once this example. Let's take one of the scientists who claims that everything is happened by that. There are many out there. And I say one of them uh, one day came to his home from work and found out that some things are missing in the house and found out that the lock is broken. Definitely, what does he do? He calls the police to come and investigate and report whatever. And I say the policeman comes. Yes, professor. What happened? Somebody must have come and taken my property. Have you seen it? It might have happened by itself. It is impossible. There must be someone who did it. What you say on the YouTube channel, that everything is happening by itself automatically. I say that describes that everybody believes in an unconscious factor, actor behind every conscious action. Even the notorious secularist minded people claim that religion is trash and forget about it, it's just myth. We are talking about reality. Here is the reality. Your properties has been disappeared by itself. Reality. All right. Shall we go to our
Yes. I think so. Let's try to see what are the other categories in which we can define and approach and understand the Quran.
now? Speech of the definition is, of course, kalamullah, speech of the creator. So we have to start from this point, actually. How many kinds of speeches are there? So one is verbal speech, that is the Quran, that's the revelation. But in the revelation, in the Quran, the speaker, God, the creator, tells us that this verse. Shall we start from it?
Yes, please.
And let's read this one.
وقالوا لجلودهم لم شهدتم علينا قالوا أنطقنا الله الذي أنطق كل شيء وهو خلقكم أول مرة وإليه ترجعون.
This ayah really uh, amazes me. Amazes me. What does it say? And they will say to their skins, why have you witnessed against us? They will say, the skin, the matter, yeah? God, who gives us speech to all things, has given speech to us as well. Of course, it has a reference to the hereafter. That's correct. And everything, our actions itself will speak in the hereafter, and they will witness whether we did good things against us or bad actions or thoughts even in a good way. So the creation is the witness. But from another aspect, I asked the question, of course, some scholars also asked the question, we are learning from them. And God, who gives speech to all things, why the verse says, God made me speak. No, doesn't say this. Defines it. Allahulladhi antaqa kulle shay. Allah is the one who gives speech to all things. This
And
part,
one thing, the interesting part, it could have said it, Allah gave me the speech like He gave the speech to the speaking creature. It doesn't say that, right? That is for
no,
أَنْتَقَ كُلِّ شيء. It says it gives speech to everything. That's amazing, really.
really, exactly. Everything, kulle shay, doesn't say Allah gave us specific miracle speech. No. Kulle shay, everything. It means in this ayah, as far as our daily life now, here and now, is concerned, I have to take this point and say, without denying the other meanings, other aspects, of course, there's no need. But as far as our subject is concerned, we are concentrating, focusing on this point. Allah gives everything to speech. I have to say, what does it mean? What does it mean? Everything speaks? Does it really? Of course, it is the truth. But we describe speech only in one way. But of course, we know that there are many ways of speech. Now I brought this. There were beautiful pictures in Google picture site, but they were all licensed, and I don't want to put ourselves, our web pages into trouble. So I choose this one. This wasn't licensed. No, don't tell me why did you choose this particular picture. Now, what is he doing this? What is going on here? It is obvious. I mean, there is no need. I was going to ask Dr. Nejati, what do you see? It's obvious, isn't it? A teacher is explaining an experiment at the level of these kids here and doing some action, but at the same time, definitely speaking. definitely verbally explaining what he is doing. That is the analogy between the universe and the teacher is speaking. Now, the creator. So, from one aspect, the universe is the speech, as the previous verse said, entaka. Entaka is not only kalam. That, by the way, let's go back to our beautiful verse. Kalam is speech, but entaka, making a logical speech, meaningful speech. If you are familiar with the word in some languages, mantak. Mantak means entaka from the same root word, logic. For example, science of mantik means science of logic. Ilmul mantak, science of logic. So God gives logical ability to speak in a logical way to all things. Logical means a comprehensible, understandable way. So we have to have a broader sense of speech. That's why I think in order to understand that the Quran is the verbal speech, but verbal speech of whom? Verbal speech of the one who created the universe and everything in it with the ability to speak in a logically comprehensible way. Did I, did I explain it? I should repeat it.
Yeah, no, I think it's very, very clear. So in a way that it's the key part here is maybe we need to a little more elaboration. I think that was we discussed yesterday as well. How the speech, if everything speaks in this regard, if the rocks, the flower, the tree speaks. So how would you see the difference between this speech and the speech of the creator? Because then there, as you mentioned, there are different type of speech. And how would you recognize this is speech is they are speaking in this regard that you can make sense of what they're saying? Because antaka, as you mentioned, if it's come from logical expression, how will you make sense of what they're telling?
What they are telling.
Yes.
Now you have to look at the demonstration of the action in the universe as it is here. So the action is a speech, but our point is verbal speech of the teacher here in the picture. Now, we are going to concentrate on the verbal speech of the teacher as far as the Quran is concerned, or definition of the Quran is concerned. But we have to bear in mind, because it will answer to a question that I'll come to. Now, the action also speaks, but if I don't hear the verbal explanation, I'll try to make sense of the action, because there is no meaningless, absurd action taking place in the whole universe. No one can ever say. Even some, no, actually, maybe most of them, or the quantum mechanics scientists say the whole universe is alive, whole universe is really speaking to us. They are meaningful. No, they cannot deny it. No, it is obvious. So they are trying to decipher this silent speech and put it in the spoken speech. And also we know that as far as our creation is concerned, we know that we are created with the ability to speak and with the ability to understand the logic of the speech, meaning of the speech. So the one who created me with the ability to speak must himself have the ability to speak. Otherwise, he wouldn't make me able to speak. So if he created me also with the ability to understand the speech, spoken language, and also to understand how our skin, complexions, speak, so we understand. Don't you see that if you see my hand, don't you see that I am over 70 years old man speaking to you? You know, a baby's hand. Here is the children hand in the picture. No, you cannot say that this hand belonged to a 19 years old man. No, no, you can easily say, oh, is that somewhere around 12 years old child. Yeah, it speaks, and everything speaks. By the way, we have to decipher the silent speech with the ability God gave us, the Creator gave us. But we have to concentrate on this side now. Now, God says, yes, uh, I am giving the ability to speak to you so that you can understand it. And also in this ayah, in the following ayah, right? Shall we go there?
Yes, that's please.
Now, uh, this shows something else. Specific speech now, this verbal speech. All right, let me go there. All right. Bismillah.
ورسلا قد قصصناهم عليك من قبل ورسلا لم نقصصهم عليك وكلم الله موسى تكليما.
The Quran, of course, we will get used to it. We will learn it. Quran speaks in a very concise way. So that there are messengers whose stories we have told you already, and others we have not. It means there are other messengers as well. But I don't mean these other messengers, the universe, or yes, it is, but within the context of this ayah, there are other messengers that are not mentioned in the Quran. They are not really, their stories are not mentioned in the Quran. But suddenly Quran uses the word kallama, to speak. Now, the previous verse was antaqa, make the things speak in a logical way. Now he said kalam, verbal speech, clearly. Like you and me speak as human beings, of course, I mean, but ability to speak is different from the speech I express through my appearance or physical actions. There is a definite distinction between two sides of speech. So the Quran says, suddenly goes there, because he wants, the verse is aiming at specifying the verbal speech. Now, it's revelation. We call it revelation to the prophets. And to Moses, Allah spoke directly. Now, it is not our subject to go which ways Allah speaks, directly from the veil on through something, angel, Gabriel. This is not our subject. Our subject is, does God speak? Yes, God speak. Why? The one who created me with the ability to speak, and the one who created me with the ability to understand. There must be a purpose in its creation. In the way that I am created, I understand God, my creator will speak to me personally, verbally, not personally, verbally, and I will comprehend it. I will understand it. But I am always asked, on many occasions, asked this question.
Dr. Ali, before you go to that question, can I interrupt you? Really, I think you emphasize very interesting point. Let me share this first. So the key part here to actually, from the wording of the two ayah, to see the difference between two type of speech. The previous ayah you share use antaqa, nutq, mantiq, in a way that basically is a logical expression, while the second ayah use kallama, is a kalam, is verbal speech, is an amazing in terms of the word choice in the Quran to give us the message. Now, if you translate, actually in translation, you never see this difference. Both of them you see in English, who gives a speech, Allah spoke, as if both refer to the speech, the same word. But the Arabic expression and the Quranic choice is truly amazing. I just want to point to this.
Yeah. In this ayah, the last ayah we studied from Surah An-Nisa, this ayah mentions, in fact, two different things. The first, Allah verbally speak, revelation. And also, the ayah says, the prophets are not only the ones we have narrated the stories about them, there are many others as well. It means we have to understand that, and also in hadith narrations, it is known to everyone, every Muslim knows that there are over 120 something thousand prophets around there. Then historically, I'm not going to go into this subject, the origin of some traditions especially in the Eastern world and Asian cultures. Original is revelation or not. This is not our point. So we are not going into that aspect of the subject, and because our point is God speaks, but yeah, as you pointed out and summarized, really, creation is a type of speech, silent speech, we call it, I call it. So revelation is verbal speech. But there are many other people now, not only that they have no religious background, but they haven't heard anything about revelation. That is the question. I am always asked, God didn't speak to them, or so what does it mean that we sent messengers to every people, and are they also responsible to believe in God, etc., etc., etc.? And there are also those among us. There are many brothers here, brothers, sisters here, know the subject. So we should understand the responsibility of those people who have not been given, exposed to prophetic messages. Are they unbelievers? Don't they have any responsibility? Of course, our scholars discussed on this. They said, depending on this ayah, let's come here, the note on this ayah from Isra, Surah Isra. So we will study that. Everybody is responsible within the conditions they are created. So we will study this ayah and go into the subject, inshallah. First, shall we study the ayah?
Yes, please.
Okay. Now, I asked this question actually. How about the people to whom the messengers have not been sent? Is Allah not talking to them? That's the question. And why, another question the people keep asking, why the Allah sends messengers to the Middle East? They are all in Palestine and around there, Arabian Peninsula and nearby places. Why this specific? Now, of course, our scholars explain that not that only this known history of the related when the revelation first was sent to the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, that time they knew this history, they heard this history, and this history was about this area. So Quran speaks to them according to the level, the capacity of their knowledge, gives the examples of the prophets in this area. Doesn't mean that uh, a prophet is not mentioned in the Quran didn't happen. But we know that uh, the prophets have been sent through the history of human beings on earth everywhere at every time, but the narrations, historical narrations, have not reached us. That's it. So in this ayah, shall we listen to it?
Yes, please.
Now we study this, and now.
من اهتدى فإنما يهتدي لنفسه ومن ضل فإنما يضل عليها ولا تزر وازرة وزر أخرى وما كنا معذبين حتى نبعث رسولا.
Now, whoever is guided is only guided for the benefit of himself. What I understand from this introductory part of the verse, everybody is responsible within the conditions he is created or she is created, with the capacity. Do you think I am not given the ability of something? I don't know, because if I knew it, it means I have the ability. And I will be responsible before the one who created me with no ability about it. Now, if a teacher asks a question, for example, can be asked to a college student, go and ask it to a high school student, it is nonsense. No one say that it is correct. It makes sense. No, because it is there beyond their capacity. So whoever is only guided for the benefit of himself. It means everybody will be responsible within the capacity they are created. And whoever goes astray, I think, before I forget, let's correct myself. And whoever goes astray goes but astray to his own hurt. It means, again, the other side of it, within their capacity. And whatever I choose, I will be responsible for it. All right, I understood. And no bearer of burdens will bear the burden of another. This is a beautiful principle in social life and in our interaction with others as well. So we shouldn't blame a person because he belongs to a nation who declared, for example, or did something wrong to another people, saying, you people from somewhere, let's say, I don't know, I don't want to give a name, X, or the banana Republican. So you are a person from there, innocent, he doesn't know anything, but the army went somewhere and killed some innocent people. So you are the murderer. I said, what? What are you talking about? It means really stereotyping is completely wrong. We should be careful about it because no bearer of burdens will bear the burden of another. This is not our subject, but this ayah is amazing. It's a deep, deep theme. For example, if a person did something wrong to you in one aspect, it doesn't mean that this is a completely corrupt man, for example, because don't accuse the other side of other qualities of the man. Yes, this, for example, this man may have some bad character in some points, but doesn't mean he's a totally bad man. So we can. It is a large subject. Anyway, our subject is this, and look, suddenly, the ayah ends up with, and we never would punish until we sent a messenger. وما وما كنا معذبين حتى نبعث رسولا. Never means comes from ma, not la. Ma is stronger nafi. That's why the translation says never would punish until we send the messenger. Now, of course, this subject is messenger comes with a verbal explanation. And there are many people in the world, they have not received the verbal explanations. So they will be responsible. That's what we have been, or I have been trying to express. They will be responsible from with their own capacity, with the conditions they are created, and I have to take care of myself. Are they going to go to hell or punished because they didn't acknowledge the prophet? Look, internet time and social media. I don't mind about this subject. What? It's not my business. My business is I am here, receive the spoken message, and I should never blame others because they are bad people. They didn't receive the revelation, so they didn't do what the revelation requires from them. No, I have to understand that God promises, Allah promises that He never punishes until He sends a messenger to them because they don't know what the message is. They should learn that I don't know. But if I have received the message, spoken message, I have to take it seriously. If I don't take the spoken message, it means, and reject it, especially, God forbid, I will be suffering for my choice.
Dr. Ali, I think maybe we can use this analogy to make it clear. So in a way that what I understand from this ayah, it's saying that God is all just and all knowing, and there is no fairness problem at all because he does give exam to everyone based on their level. In a way, is saying to those, who are taking graduate level maths and seeing the kids that's in the first grade and not knowing any math and saying how their exam's gonna be, how they're gonna answer the exam we answering. No, your exam and their exam is not the same. So in a way, that's saying that everyone's gonna have exam based on their level, based on their condition. What you need to worry is that how you answer your question given your level. If you are a graduate student and studying math at the graduate level, so you need to prepare an answer based on that. And those who are just at very entry level, they have their exam based on their levels. That's what I understand it here is in a way say that there is no injustice by giving everyone the same exam. Everyone get based on their own level in this regard.
As the ayah says, أَلَا يَعْلَمُ مَنْ خَلَقَ. Do you think that the one who creates doesn't know what he is doing? So if God creates everyone within a certain conditions, definitely he knows that the conditions he created there. I use an expression to these kinds of concerns. What will happen to Christians? What will happen to, I don't know, Buddhists, for example? And we are talking, we may be talking, I don't think we do, but I said, mind your business. Ask yourself, what am I expected to do? What will happen to my future? The famous hadith narrations, you must have heard this very famous hadith narration. A companion came to the Prophet ﷺ when the Qiyamah, the last day, doomsday, whatever you call it, end of the creation, this universe will happen. And anyway, the narration of it a little bit larger than what I am going to say, because I'm not quoting the hadith, just talking about the hadith. And the Prophet said, what have you prepared for it? That is the problem. That is the message. What have you prepared for it? Rather than talking about other people, whether they will be in paradise or they will be in hell, or they are, but talk about, for example, thinking that, excuse me, thinking that, or hearing somebody saying, the nature renews itself. For example, this is the language they use. The nature arranges itself. Suddenly an explosion happened and universe existed. And the question is there, what is that before the existence of the universe exploded, and where and when? Because there is no universe. What are you talking about? So nonsense. All right. We understand that these people are like this, that people are like this. I would say, what will happen to them in the hereafter? This idea is wrong. This understanding is baseless. Doesn't make sense. The universe witnesses against it, right? Ideas. For example, rather than keeping all the Christians and putting into hell and we are the one only saved people, say the interpretation of or understanding of the concept of God in this way is wrong. I don't agree. Now, the people who claim that is the business between Allah and them, not me. But I don't subscribe to this idea. That's what the safest way I understand. Slogan is this: mind yourself.
Yeah.
Mind yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, Dr. Ali, let me give you one more example. It was really interesting. Once I got a question from a Muslim adult who lives in a Muslim country saying that there are a lot of people in Asia, like, in China, they never heard Islam. It's not fair. Those who born in a Muslim country, they will hear and then they become believer, go to Jannah. And then the people in, let's say, in China, they're going to go to Jahannam. And he reached to the level that he was losing his faith and saying this means there is no God. Then he asked me, how would you answer this question? I said, your question is also answered. That means you born in a Muslim country. Now you have a doubt. There is no guarantee for you to go to Jannah. You're wondering about those people in Asia, thinking as if you are going to go Jannah for sure. So wonder yourself and think yourself. It was really interesting that in a way how we just, instead of dealing what we face and answering our own exam question, we spend a lot of time to really, think and talk about the exams of others. But you are in exam. Look at your question. How would you answer that? So I think that's very, very important. I will say guidance in life, perhaps.
The question is mind your business, responsibility, and what have you prepared for your own future? That is very touching to my senses, to my mind. Yeah, I have to mind myself. And if someone asks me, I will talk about understandings, ideas. I don't agree with this idea. Who said it? I don't care. But this idea is wrong. That's it. Shall we move forward?
Yeah, I think we have some questions. We have two questions, and let's address those first, and then we can. I don't know. We might not have time for the next slide. Again, so I get two questions. Nurbanu, you can directly read them, if you want. So and then Dr. Ali can answer. Go for the first one, please.
Inshallah. One of the questions is maybe more of a clarifying question. It says, so is Allah speaking to us through the flower, etc., because of our limitation to receive direct speech from Allah?
Oh, that's a good question. Because our limitations, maybe not in creation, as I understand now, not in the way that we are created. For example, in the Quran, the Prophet is described in this way. إنما أنا بشر مثلكم يوحى إلي. I'm not حافظ. إنما أنا بشر مثلكم يوحى إلي إلهكم إله واحد. The meaning is this. I shouldn't really, what you can find out and read it out. Now, from my bodily side, I'm like you, but from the creation side, but God has revealed to me that your God is one absolute being. Now, that is what I'm transferring to you. That makes me the messenger. Did you find the ayah?
No, I was looking for another hadith.
Surah Kahf, last ayah. I think it's Surah Kahf. Yes. Did you find it or not?
No, I was looking for another hadith, and I was not looking for the ayah.
Not all right then. So, not because of our limitations or, for example, if I am a primary school student now, I am not a graduate student now because of my limitations, or I have not prepared myself for it yet. But if I continue studying there, it doesn't mean that if I continue studying, I will be a prophet. But the distinction is human capacity is different from the responsibility according to their level. So if God doesn't speak directly to me, it doesn't mean that I don't really have the capacity. No, it is something different subject. God speaks to people, to the prophets who can bear this message. I mean, the one who creates, the one who sends the message knows who can bear it and really convey it in his life, throughout his life, with no hesitation, with full devotion. That is the prophet message, but we hear the message and we are responsible what we hear the message.
As one of our listeners put it, the ayah you mentioned in the chat, you can read it from there. Al-Kaf, ayah 110, I think.
Where is it? Where is it? Where
Is in the chat. Is in the chat.
No Q&A.
No, the chat, not the normal chat, not Q&A.
Okay, chat. Yeah. No, it's a very famous ayah. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل إنما أنا بشر مثلكم يوحى إلي إنما إلهكم إله واحد. Now, that is what I was looking for. So this ayah clearly says that, yes, from bodily existence side, like Bashar, not human beings, huh? Human after spirit is given. So from bodily existence side, I'm like you. But the messenger, what makes you the messenger? Of course, we have to appreciate the beauty of this sentence or the phrases in Islamic tradition. Eşhedü en la ilahe illallah ve eşhedü enne Muhammeden abduhu ve rasuluh. This ve eşhedü enne Muhammeden abduhu ve rasuluh is most important words in Islamic tradition that we have to take it seriously. He is an abd, the worshipper of Allah only, doesn't recognize any authority other than the owner of the universe. But Rasulullah, he has been given the message. So we have to understand Abduhu wa Rasuluh. So we are receiving the message through the Rasul. But Abd, everybody is an Abd. That for the Abd aspect, everybody is the same.
And Dr. Ali, also, can we add it to this perhaps, and based on, again, one hadith when referred to Surah Al-Fatiha, and there's some saying as well that when you recite Quran, you can actually consider you're talking to Allah, because since it's Kalamullah, so it is a talk. So it depends on how you really personalize and how much you connect to the Quran. So in a way, if you really get this state of mind and qalb, perhaps you can find the speech in the form of Quran to you as well. I don't know, the Quran, you'll find those ayah as if Allah is directly speaking to you.
Now, the brother or sister, I think him or her, asking this question, because of our limitation in comprehending the absolute meaning of the message, the wahi, revelation. Yes, in comprehension, I have my limits. No, the message is infinite, unfolding itself throughout time, depending on the people's physical conditions, etc.
There's another question, Nurbanu.
Yeah.
Go ahead, please.
The other question is related to, messengers coming to different countries or not. Why wouldn't God send a messenger to some nations then?
So why
wouldn't God send a messenger to some nations then?
Why? Shall I make a joke? Or not? Necati, what do you say?
Yeah, you can. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Mind your business. Ask God. Why don't you tell them? No, definitely there is a reason. Everybody is different. If somebody says, what is this university? This university studies only science. Yeah, that is the responsibility of those people who go there. This study, for example, this university is the university studies on the social sciences, for example. Now, why everyone is different? If every people receive the prophet and the message directly, and there will be no difference. So some people are responsible within their own conditions. Some people are responsible within their own conditions. So I have to find myself within my own condition and say that, for example, if I have received the revelation, I will say, thanks, Alhamdulillah, I have the benefit from it, and stop blaming others because they didn't receive it, and also accusing them. They are not deserve of revelation. Stop this kind of considerations. There must be a wisdom that everybody will be responsible within their own capacity, the way they are created. Now, for example, in some climates, certain fruits and vegetables and animals are not created. In another climates, they are created. So why? Differences. As the Quran says, there are ayats in the differences of your skins, differences of your language, and differences of your living conditions that you are created with.
Yeah, I personally take this one as like, don't, everyone's test, as you mentioned, is really different, and trust in the fairness of the exam giver. He's all knowing and is all wise. So, and just take care of your own exam. And I think that is really perhaps the best way to deal with that. So again, we run out of time. It's 5 o'clock. And let me briefly summarize and then hear dua from you. So today we'll mainly focus on the speech of the Creator. And obviously, everyone wants to speak to Allah. Everyone wants to connect to Allah. And our point is that there are two type of speaks in which that he speaks through the creation in the form of meaningful expression, and he speaks through the revelation in the form of an ayat, the kalam that we get through the Quran. So in this regard, that the discussion we had it today, that the first and second type is different. And if we receive the second type of the speech, that is the different level of blessing and responsibility, and we should do everything, try to understand this divine speech to see what it tells us and how he guides us.
Every creature, perfect. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Did
no,
I
that's all.
interrupt
That's
you?
all. I was going to ask you to make dua. Yes.
Every creature, every people, every man is perfect as it is created. So cat cannot say that I'm not like dog. This is perfect as a cat. Dog is a perfect creature as a dog. So if you are giving the message is perfect, if some people are not given the message, it's perfect within their own capacity. That's why we studied the verse, saying that we are not going to punish for the people to whom we have not sent the message. It means they are perfect in their creation. We are perfect in our creation. Inshallah.
Okay. So let's hear dua and end it with the dua from you.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباع محمد أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Amin. Shukran. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum, everyone, and see you tomorrow, inshallah.
إن شاء الله.